Hi guys, welcome along. What we want to do today is try to recreate this sort of graphic pencil style illustration. Kind of cool, pretty easy to do, and should be a bit of fun really. So off I go. Now here is my chosen image, and I'm going to be using this as my sort of pencil sketch if you like, and there are probably multiple ways you can do this, but this is my version of the pencil sketch. So we're going to duplicate that top layer, Command J on a Mac, and I am going to hide that and come back to that later. So this layer here, and we're going to be applying filters and things to this, so as we usually do, we would convert that to a smart object. Beautiful. Alright, so let's get into it. First one is going to be from the filter gallery, one of my sketch filters, and I'm going to use photocopy. Now when you get in here, you've got this thing called detail, and you have darkness. Now I want to reduce the detail. I don't want all of the darkness, I should say, and I'm going to pull this right down to, 1 or 2, 2. I'm going to use 2, but every image might prove different. And you can push this slider around till you feel like you're getting something that you like. I'm going to say that looks good for this image. Yeah, let's go with that. Okay. So ideally that's well on the way, but to be honest, it's a little bit pixely and a little bit, funky at this stage. So let's put another filter on here, and I'm going to put this oil paint filter on. This will sort of do a pretty reasonable job of sort of smoothing out some of that nasty, the dirty pixels. And so you can see by clicking on what I'm getting. Now you can play with the amount of stylization. I'm trying to not lose her face entirely, so I think maybe somewhere there could work for me, and I'm gonna say okay. And there we go. That's actually not a bad job, and that really is the essence of the piece. But from here, I'm going to take it a bit further. Now this is optional what I'm going to do from here forward. This is our pencil sketch, and but I'm going to see if I can take this a bit further. You can bring this top layer back and apply different blending modes to get colour into this thing, and just bite down. I might just go with overlay and potentially even reduce the saturation of that colour. I don't want colour, so I'm going to just pull the saturation out of it, so just getting a black and white layer. And yeah, that seems to just bite in a little bit by doing that little step. Fine, okay, and that's it really. So as I say, there was a couple of steps I wanted to sort of introduce to just see if we can push this a little bit further. And so I'm going to just turn that off for a second so you can see what I'm doing, and I might just give it a little bit of brightness, just pop that brightness just a little bit so I can have a little bit more definition. Now what I'm going to do from this image here is I'm going to select parts of this image based on tone. So I'm going to be using my colour range, and this is a fabulous way we can isolate colours and tonal ranges, colour range. And you can pick colours out of an image or tone. So I think I want the shadows, so I'm selecting the shadows, and clicking on here you can see that the darks are what I will have. So you can just introduce a little bit more or a little bit less. I'm quite okay with that, but you really want to invert it back. That's sort of a preview, and then you want to invert it back. I think I'm good, so I think I've got my shadows there. Now why we did that is we want to put texture or patterning over the top of that. But to do that, what I'm going to need to do first is to create a new layer, and I'm going to fill that with a colour, and in fact I will use white, and I'm okay. I think we're good. So why we've done that is if we can then double click in here, and I'm going to apply a pattern overlay. Now pattern overlays are obviously, things that can be applied. I'm using one of the web patterns, one of the web legacy patterns. I'm using some of these web patterns, and I just want this line work. That's the one I want. You might experiment. Yep, that's good, and I want to set this to multiply. Okay, so that's good so far. And then we can bring back our image and start to see what we have. Now this layer should be set to multiply as well. Fantastic. Now that's looking good, but I've got a lot of line work I don't want, which is this background, sort of too much in my opinion. So let's just turn that back on. And what I want to do is sort of essentially cut the background out to remove some of that line work. So you can obviously select this a number of ways, but I might try this object selection, see how we go with that. And Wheel of Death, there we go. So that, but I don't want, might just refine that a little bit. Pick a bit of that up, remove a bit of that. Yep, that's good enough, I think. Okay, that's good. So I want to invert that. I don't want her, I want the background, so I'm going to invert my selection. So selection, inverse, and now from that top layer I can delete some of this patterning. There we go, that's what I want. Okay, so now when you start bringing this back, you get your lovely illustration. Beautiful. I think that'll do us. And again, this pattern overlay is entirely optional, but I think it lends a certain sort of style to it myself. All right, guys, have fun with that, and I look forward to seeing what you do in the lesson. Cool.